Welcome to the Raw Podcast. We are real ass women talking about real ass shit. Today is day 7 of our 30-day journey to reclaiming our identity. Over the past few days, we've been diving deep into what it means to reclaim our true selves. Today's episode is going to be a pivotal one because we're talking about boundaries. I know the term can be overused for sure, but I assure you, setting boundaries is the utmost important key to protecting your energy and your peace. So what does it really mean to set boundaries? It means establishing limits or rules about what you're willing to accept in terms of behavior, time, energy, or resources in relationships or situations in your life. It's about taking control of your personal space emotionally, physically, or mentally, and communicating your needs and limits clearly to others. Now, if you're like myself, setting boundaries may feel a little uncomfortable at first. Maybe you've been taught that by saying no is rude or that people will be upset with you if you put your needs first. Maybe like so many women, you've been conditioned to prioritize everyone else's comfort levels before that of your own. Setting boundaries isn't just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to yourself. It's about honoring your needs, your time, and your emotional space. It's the only way to teach others how to treat you and to show yourself that you matter. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt drained, overwhelmed, or resentful of others? Because I know I have. And the reality is, it's because of you, not them. Now, wait a minute. Hear me out. You see, your boundaries were clear or non-existent. We're constantly giving so much of ourselves, whether it's to family, friends, or work, or even societal expectations that we forget to give to ourselves. And that's where the imbalance happens. You see, boundaries are the foundation of self-respect. By setting them, in essence, we're saying, I value myself enough to protect my peace. Boundaries allow us to honor who we are and preserve our energy. Without them, we risk losing touch with our true essence. But I know that this is not always easy. Setting boundaries requires courage, and it often requires saying no to things that feel difficult. Saying no to a friend who's asked you to take on something you don't have the bandwidth for, or saying no to a family member who's constantly draining your energy. Boundaries also mean protecting your emotional space. This could be limiting the time you spend with people who bring negativity into your life or choosing to disengage from conversations that make you feel small. One of the most common reasons we fail to set boundaries is guilt. We feel guilty for saying no. We worry that people will be disappointed, upset, or angry with us. But here's the thing. Your guilt doesn't serve you. Guilt often stems from fear. Fear of conflict, fear of judgment, fear of not being liked. But guilt is a heavy weight to carry, and it prevents us from standing in our own truth. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you said yes to something and it truly drained you and you felt resentment and frustration afterwards? That was the result of you ignoring your own boundaries, and over time it builds up. You might start feeling burnt out, anxious, or overwhelmed. But when you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you make space for something that aligns with your energy, your goals, and your ultimate purpose. Boundaries aren't just for other people. Sometimes we think of boundaries as things that we set for others, but we also need to set them with ourselves. For example, setting a boundary with yourself around your time is essential. Maybe that means carving out time each day to check in with yourself, to rest, or to simply breathe. It could be about creating a no phone zone in the evening so that you can have some peace and quiet before bed. Or maybe it's about recognizing that your mind, body, and spirit need rest, even when there's a long to-do list staring at you. Now, there are a couple practical things that you can try to do for setting boundaries. One being know your limits. Start by getting clear on what your limits are. Think about what drains you, what makes you feel overwhelmed, but also think about what gives you energy. When you know these things, you can make an informed choice about whether you want to say yes or no. 2, communicate clearly. Boundaries are most effective when you can communicate them clearly to others. You don't have to apologize for having them. You can say things like, I can't take on that extra task right now, or I need some time to recharge, so I won't be available this evening. But it doesn't require an apology. 3, honor your boundaries. Now, this is the most important part of boundary setting, is honoring your own needs. Don't say yes to something you know will drain you just to avoid conflict. Respect your own limits. 4, practice self-compassion. It can be tough at first, I know. You might slip up or feel guilty for saying no, and that's okay. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace. Reclaiming your identity is a journey, and each step you take is a victory. Now, as we do every day, I want to leave you with a couple of questions to reflect on as you go throughout your day. What area of your life are you failing to set boundaries? Think about it. Is it work? Is it within your personal relationships or friendships? Is it with family? Is it with your church group or community? What is one boundary you can set today that will protect your energy? Whatever that is, write it down and set it. And as we do every day on the Raw podcast, I want to leave you with an affirmation. And today your affirmation is, I honor my needs and set boundaries that respect my energy, my time, and my peace. I want to thank you guys for joining us today, and thank you again for choosing yourself. I'm very proud of you. Don't forget, boundaries are essential in creating peace and happiness in your life. Until tomorrow, love more.